Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, cats and kittens, welcome back to the podcast, and thank you, thank you. You know what? The video I'm doing today, these are my absolute favorite kind of videos to do because they get into objectivity. Now, I think it's very, very important in crypto that you remain objective and don't get caught in sunk cost bias or sunk cost fallacy. So, what is sunk cost fallacy? It describes our tendency to follow through on an endeavor if we have already invested time, effort, or money into it, whether or not the current costs outweigh the benefit. In economic terms, sunk costs are costs that have already been incurred and cannot be recovered. The sunk cost fallacy means that we are making irrational decisions because we are factoring in influences other than the current alternatives. The fallacy affects many different areas of our lives, leading to just bad outcomes. But it will absolutely bury you in crypto if you don't recognize it. Now, a famous example of the sunk cost fallacy impacting large scale decisions was coined the Concorde fallacy. Way back in 1956, the Supersonic Transport Aircraft Committee met to discuss building a supersonic airplane, the Concorde. You've seen it in pictures. French and British engine manufacturers and French and British governments were involved in the project that was estimated to cost almost $100 million back in 1956. So imagine what it would cost today. Long before the project was over, it was clear that there were increasing costs and that the financial gains of the plane, once in use, would not offset them. However, the project continued. The manufacturers and governments followed through on the project because they had already made significant financial investments and dedicated a lot of time to the project. Ultimately, this led to millions of dollars being wasted, and the Concorde operated for less than 30 years. The sunk cost fallacy occurs because we are not purely rational decision makers and are often influenced by our emotions. When we have previously invested in a choice, we are likely to feel guilty or regretful if we do not follow through on that decision. The sunk cost fallacy is associated with the commitment bias, where we continue to support our past decisions despite new evidence suggesting that it isn't the best course of action. Pragmatism. We fail to take into account that whatever time, effort, or money that we have already expended will not be recovered. We end up making decisions based on past costs and instead of present and future costs and benefits, which are the only ones that rationally, objectively, should make a difference. The sunk cost fallacy may in part occur due to loss aversion, which describes the fact that the impact of losses feels much worse to us than the impact of gains. Psychic money. We are more likely to avoid losses than seek out gains. We may feel that our past investment will be lost if we don't follow through on the decision and make a decision based on loss aversion rather than consider the benefits that would be gained if we did not continue our commitment. Do you want to know why I make so many trades and I am in and out of so many positions? Because I'm not going to get sucked into this. One of the reasons not following through on a decision leads to a feeling of loss is because the overall endeavor gets framed together instead of in stages. If we fail to follow through on a decision, the narrative is one of failure, even if the subsequent decision not to continue to commit was actually in our best interest. The sunk cost fallacy impacts many aspects of our daily life, as well as bigger decisions that have long-term effects. The sunk cost fallacy means that we are making decisions that are irrational and lead to bad outcomes. We are focused on our past investments instead of our present and future costs and benefits, meaning that we commit ourselves to decisions that are no longer in our best interests. The sunk cost fallacy is a vicious cycle because we continue to invest money, time, and effort into endeavors that we have already invested in. The more we invest, the more we feel committed to continuing the endeavor, and the more resources we are likely to put in to follow through on our decision. DCA? Anyone? Are you familiar with the term? If you've watched this channel for any length of time, you have heard me throw out sunk cost bias from time to time. But as this market gets more and more bearish, I thought a refresher wouldn't hurt, if for no other reason than to clarify and add context to why I do what I do. We are all not going to make it. It's mathematically impossible for that to happen. But the less emotional folks who are investing based on objectivity and not passion, they're more likely to weather this. The markets have borne this out time and time and time again. The sunk cost fallacy describes our tendency to continue to pursue an endeavor that we have already committed to in terms of investing money, time, or effort into it, even if these costs are not recoverable. It occurs because our emotions often cause us to deviate from rational decisions. Abandoning an endeavor after committing to it and investing resources into it is likely to cause negative feelings of guilt and wastefulness, since we want to avoid negative feelings of loss. We are likely to follow through on a decision that we have vested in, even if it is not in our best interest. What I'm saying is, don't be that guy, and you will likely experience a much better outcome during your crypto journey. The individual effects are one thing. That happens. Everybody makes a bad trade. But the systemic effects of continuing on a bad path. How's that AMP investment working out? I'm just saying. I had to take a little dig at AMP in there. I always do. If there is one community that suffers from sunk cost bias, that's it. That's all I have to say on that one. Anyway, guys, I'm going to be bringing you a few more of these. I really like to delve into the who, what, when, where, why, and how. I think it's important, and I think it's important that you be able to spot it so that if you happen to be suffering from it, you at least realize it. It will put in just a little nugget of objectivity into some of your decision making, and I think it's going to work out much better for you over the long term, because that's what we're looking at here, over the long term. Seeing opportunity, being positioned to take advantage of opportunity, and then seeing it through. Not up, then down, but more up. That's it. Any questions, comments, or concerns, scott@thepodcast.com, and I'm happy to discuss anything. I just like getting emails. It makes me feel special. That's all we have on this one. I hope you enjoyed it, and until next time, please stay safe, and please be smart with your money. Cheers.